Hello everybody, and thanks for tuning in. This is the Eachine E10W, and it is tiny. Watch as I bring in my hands. It doesn't claim to be the world's smallest, but smallest drone I've ever had. Look at that. It's even got a camera. It's got Wi-Fi. I am impressed. You know, our cell phones have all this technology built into them, so it shouldn't really surprise us that we can make a quad that sits on your finger. But as I mentioned, it does have a camera. It's out at a 720p. We'll show the stats on that here after a bit. It has Wi-Fi FPV, so you have to use your cell phone, and that's where this goes. It goes right in there. Has an app. It's got a built-in battery, and it's got an on-off switch here on the side, and then that's our charging port. If you need to do any repairs, maybe you want to try to replace the battery, at the top and bottom frame is just held together with these little clasps. You can just pop those out, take a guitar pick or a piece of plastic or a library card, just kind of pop them in there. It should pop right off, but after you have your props off too. And speaking of props, we do get an extra set in the bag, and this is an antenna hole filler. It essentially does nothing. It's just a piece of plastic in case you want that. It comes with a USB charger, and it has a tab right here on top. That tab goes down, and then it plugs in. And it has a red LED light in here that is off when it's charging, and when it comes, or it's on when it's charging, and then when it's done charging, it blinks, and it blinks pretty quickly for a time, and then after a while, the blink becomes slower and slower. I'm not sure why it gets slower, but I've looked at it, and I'll think it's not charging for some reason, and I'll look a little bit longer, and then bloop, a little flash. So keep that in mind when you're charging. It comes with an instruction sheet. Let me move this so I can get my hands down here. Instructions are pretty typical. I will note that you see here it has the different scanning for app stores. I use Android, so I scanned that barcode there, and the app that came up is similar to this one up here with the skyline and the play button, but it does not have controls built into the application. So with that, I presume that these pictures are actually for another app or another model that's not included in this QR scan, and maybe it's different versions with the different stores. That could be. I only tried the Google Play Store. We have a few settings. It sounds like from the instructions that the same settings that are available on the controller are available through the App Store, but with the, or not the App Store, through the app. With the app itself, though, that controls your ability to take photos and video. So if you want to do those things, you do have to have the app installed on a phone. And installing the app on a phone is pretty simple. You go into your Wi-Fi settings after you have the quad on, and you'll find a Wi-Fi UFO. You connect to that one. You bring up the app, and then you click that little play button. Hope you can see that. And then it'll take it a moment, and then it'll bring up the camera view here, but without these controls. It'll just have these buttons across the top, and then the camera view in here. The other important part of the instructions are the controllers instructions, and they're labeled real small, so I'll go through those with you here on the controller. This is the headless mode. That's where you can spin it around and around and around, and the forward is always forward and forward is always backwards. It does, and left and right same way. It doesn't matter which way the nose of the quad is pointed. Those directions are always the same. You have the one key return or return to home here on the right. I'm not sure if you'll ever need that because you surely won't be flying this outside, and you should always be able to keep it in your view. And then we have the rates are left clicks down, and we have 3 different rates. And flips are click down in a direction, and it does a flip or a roll in that direction. And I will show you all those. And then we have our trim buttons down here. And while we're here, we'll go ahead and pull this off. You can see the red wire down in there, hopefully. That's our antenna. This little plastic piece, if you don't have the phone holder on, goes right down in there. So the next up, we'll do some line of sight. And then after that, I have set up some, it's pretty decent. I was hoping to give you a view of what it's like to have this all attached and a camera laying in here with the application. Keep in mind, and I say this during that footage, that what you see through the Wi-Fi camera is going to be delayed. So running this like a true FPV is going to be a little bit difficult because of the processing. It has to happen on the quad side, and then it has to reprocess on the phone side before you get to actually see it. So if you can get that timing down, you might be able to actually FPV this a little bit, but that it's not a live view; it's a delay, and so that's going to make it neat for being able to take some photos or videos of a house pet or a friend or something like that. What I thought of when I first saw this, and I should mention that this came from Amazon. We can buy our hobby products from Amazon. I think Eachine might even have a whole store set up or a marketplace on Amazon. But that's where I got this guy. It came from Amazon, and I took it to my office. I don't office share, but I do have one of those modular desks that has like a partition, and I was trying to practice flying it up over the partition and then back over it on my side, and I was thinking of, now you might remember the old movie Office Space, where they had partitions, and if you had something like that in your work area, how it might be kind of fun, you know, take 5 minutes of your 15-minute break or what have you, and fly this around a little bit. You're not going to be able to sneak on anybody because the whirring of the props is going to alert somebody that something's going on, but it can be kind of fun. And you can carry it, you know, in your lunch pail if you wanted to. Okay, I think that's it for the desk part. Well, we need to go fly this thing. Got our quad set up right over there. We've got our view here of the controller and the application. We hit play, it activates the camera. So let's fly a little bit. Alright, trim it. Alright, well, it's floating. Let's take a picture. Oh, it looks like I might have taken two there. See the flashing light on there indicating Wi-Fi. Let's do a little video. Let's take a little look at the cat. Back it away. Let's go around the other side. See if we can get a little better view there. You can see that there's a bit of a delay between the Wi-Fi sending the signal to the camera processing. Oh, he might swat me. I better get out of there. Okay. Let's stop the video. Let's take a look at our rates. You know, for a low rate, it's not bad. You know, it's so small. To fly this thing is going to be a touch challenging anyways. But let's see what the rate changes do. I'm going to trim this a bit more. It's kind of goes forward all the time here. That's better. So now we're at 60%. So durability test too. So the rate didn't change that much. Let's try it at 100% rates. Still wanting to go forward a lot. Okay, let's do 100. Yeah, I don't see any difference in those. Sorry, I had the controller turned there a little bit. I didn't have the best FPV view. But for something so small and reasonable, that little tiny camera lens, it's doing pretty well. I don't think you're actually going to be doing FPV with this because of that delay. Every time I look at the screen, it gets away from me. There's just too much of a delay where you can give the copter some input and then it will fly in the direction that you give it the input. It's oftentimes too late, especially for an indoor flyer. You know, we've got everything real close. Oh, and there's our LVC. Let's see if we can land it on the table here. Oh, I can't get enough height. Yep, better bring it down. Okay. All right, we're all bound up. Let's go. So this is the lowest rates. Okay, click the left stick down. It's second rate. Yeah, it's more aggressive. Oh, look at the yaw here. That was pretty good. That's probably the rate I'd prefer the most right there. But let's try one more. That's pretty fast. Whoa! That yaw rate is out of control. Let's see if we can do it again. Spins like a top. Twitchy. Okay, I gotta get out of that. That yaw rate is going back to the medium rates here. Let's do a flip. Let's get a little height. Press the right stick down and then in the direction. There we go. You can hear it beep. Oh, little bounce. Doesn't recover great with those little tiny props. There we go. That's a little better if I goose it a little bit. Goose the throttle a little bit. Okay. So let's see. Headless mode. Doesn't matter which way. Oh, a little bounce. The nose is always away from you. Come out of, well, we're not going to come out of, whoa. I'm back in 100% rates and I can't fly it. Okay, now we're back in regular here. Oh, it won't let me flip anymore. Oh, it did. Maybe I just didn't do it right that last time. Well, I'm full throttle now. Slowly coming back up. I wonder if it'll still flip now. I'm gonna get stuck in the ceiling. Yep. Oh. Little bounce off the floor. It flashed there once. I'm not sure. Just adding a bit of trim. It seems as though when the battery gets weaker, the trims kind of need a little bit more. Oh, you can see that slowly. Pretty much full throttle now. So the battery sags after a minute or two. Still flyable though. Just have to manage it. Sorry about the mess in the house. I do have kids, and my youngest loves to come down here and set up shop or kitchen or whatever it is over there. Do a flip. And it still lets you do the flip even though the battery's getting obviously pretty low. If I let off the throttle much at all, it always goes down and bounces. I have to be, yeah. I let off the throttle a little bit there and it, oh, we're just about done. So there's our LVC. Let's see how long she goes before she doesn't do anything. Well, that's not good for the battery. Let's shut it down. Okay, here back at the desk, and I think it flies just fine. Something like this is going to have limited possibilities. You know, it's so small, the motors are so small, they can only generate so many rotations per minute to give us the thrust, and it's not going to fly like a racing quadcopter. But I think if someone is, especially someone who's just getting started, who really wants to start with a bottom budget in order to just kind of learn line of sight and stick inputs, anything that you buy is good, and this could be a good candidate as well. Because you've got to get the feel of training your fingers to do things to make the copter go where you want it to. And you can do that with line of sight training yourself, or you can do that with looking through the camera lens. But in this case, with the Wi-Fi FPV, it's going to be delayed, so that's going to be, if you can get that down, you've got some pretty special skills, better than me. I did notice that the thrust near the end of the battery gets pretty reduced, and that's what we typically call voltage sag, to where you just don't have the voltage in the battery to really give it thrust to where it can deliver that to the motors and really spin them up in order to catch it when, like, say, when you're descending and you don't want to go all the way to the floor, you just want to come down a bit. So you have to bring the throttle down and then you bring it back up, and maybe it doesn't quite catch itself, it bounces off the floor. That's pretty typical when you have these sorts of quads. So don't be disappointed by that. That's pretty normal. It still gives you an opportunity to learn. I think if someone is looking for a Christmas present or a stocking stuffer for someone like myself who works in an office and who likes quads, this is a pretty good candidate. I think if you've got a young person at home who's interested in them, this is a pretty good candidate. Something they can fly in a very small room and they can still explore it a bit. I think something like this also, because it is so small, if you have multiple kids and one of them's interested, there's less likely to be any injury to any one other of your kids. Oh, I've got some batteries. Just finished. All right. So this, especially with the holidays coming up, this would be a good gift item, stocking stuffer, for anyone that you might know that is indicating they have an interest in RC or in drones or quads, whatever you want to refer to them as, and it would fly in a very small space. There are others in the same category. You might want to do your homework and research and see which one you prefer the most. And they all kind of fly similarly, but the size, the bigger they are, the more thrust they're going to have. But when you have more thrust, then you have the possibility of more injury. Typically, something that you fly indoor is pretty small and pretty low risk. But the bigger you get, the more risk you have for injury, especially if someone's just learning how to fly. Okay, if you have any questions or comments, leave those in the section down below. And thanks for watching.